Let's go. Number three, brother.
Number three is that even when you get to the title Son of God, even when you get the title Only Begotten Son of God, this is not an exclusive title to Jesus Christ, which many people think. There are many, 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 many instances where the word Son of God is used. And if anyone would study Jewish culture, especially ancient Jewish culture or Orthodox Jewish culture, to be called a Son of God is a title of esteem and a title of prestige and honor, even being called Lord. Someone would come to their rabbi and they would refer to him as my Lord. This is something that is known by by Eastern Europeans also. They refer to people as Lord. So this title is not exclusive. And Jacob and Solomon in Exodus are called sons of God. Ephraim and Jeremiah, Adam is called son of God in the New Testament. Common people are called sons of God in the New and Old Testament. So these are not something that is an exclusive title.
See, now the brother just resorted to just straight up lying to the people, because there is nowhere that you can read in the Bible that anybody else is called the only begotten Son of God. Nowhere in the Bible. And what people need to understand is Christ is the only man that walked the earth that came through a woman without a man that begat him. Let's go to Genesis chapter 5. And let's look up something real quick. Let's read verse 4. And it reads, "And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters." Let's look up the word begotten here in this verse. And it's 3205 in the Hebrew section of the concordance. And the Hebrew word is yalad. And it basically means to beget or bring forth. So we know that Christ was brought forth by the Father. But how? God's power. This is how the Most High works. His power is what's key. His Holy Spirit is his power. And we already know that the book of Matthew lets you know that it was the Holy Spirit that overshadowed Mary and she became pregnant. Muslims agree with the virgin birth, so this is not an issue. Christ was brought forth by the power of the Father. This is not hard to understand. And he is the only man that this has ever happened with, that was born through the flesh. His father Yahweh was the immortal God that begat him. How? With his power. Yes, the brother is right when he says that others throughout the scriptures are called sons of God, but there is two parts to the sons of God. You got to read it and get it in context. If you go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 9, it talks about the children of God. These are sons and daughters of God. Yes, I agree. Galatians 3 and 26, children of God. That would be considered sons and daughters of God. Psalms 82 and 6, again, children of God. This will be sons and daughters of God. Romans 8 and 14, this is talking about human sons of God. This is not hard to understand, but there's other places in the Bible where it talks about sons of God, and we already went over it in the very first video of this series, that the sons of God who visited the Most High while Satan was in attendance are angels, and these are immortal sons of God. Let's go to Job 38 and let's read verses 4 through 7. And let's read about some more immortal sons of God. And it reads, "Where was thou when I had laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy." These sons of God were not human beings. These sons of God are called morning stars. This is parallel poetry, and they are angels. So we got to understand that there are human sons of God and there are immortal sons of God. Christ, before he inhabited flesh, was an immortal son of God. And when he entered into the flesh, he became the only begotten of the Father by mere fact that he was the only immortal Son of God that was begotten by the Father through his Spirit that came through Mary's flesh. If you still don't believe me, let's go to John chapter 1 and let's visit verse 14. John 1 and 14, and it reads, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." Let's look up the word begotten in this particular verse. And it's in the Greek section of the Concordance 3439, monogenes. Notice it says mono, meaning one. Look at the definition. Only born, i.e. soul. Only, meaning he's the only of its kind. Look, single of its kind, only. So he was the only one that was born on this earth through the flesh with the power of the Most High. The brother lied when he tried to say that Christ wasn't given this title exclusively. He tried to say that other people had this title. That is a lie. And you have to lie again in order to promote Islam. You have to. See, this thing goes way deeper than what the Muslim understands. The reason why I looked up begotten in two different spots is so that people can understand the bringing forth of the Messiah, because not only is he the only begotten of the Father, but he's eternally begotten of the Father. Thus visits Proverbs chapter 8. See, the Muslim is not deep enough. The Muslim cannot understand the set apart scriptures because he has already been put in a mindset to reject Christ's divinity. And Christ's divinity comes from eternal past. Now let's read Proverbs chapter 8. We're going to pick it up at verse 22. And us Messianic believers believe this is Messianic in the Tanakh. Let's read. "The Lord, which is Yahweh, possessed me in the beginning of his way. Before his works of old, I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was, when there were no depths. I was brought forth when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was, I was brought forth." That means begotten, brought forth. So the Muslim cannot understand this, and most Tanakh onlys can't understand this because maybe it's a little too deep. I don't know. But all I'm saying is we have to look at this thing from a totality. We cannot just throw stuff out there and think that we understand what we're talking about. This stuff is a lot deeper than what people think it is. This is why I went to John 1, where it says the Word was made flesh, because he was made flesh through Mary, the only begotten, the only man that walked this earth without the aid of a father, through flesh, through a woman. Adam was not born that way. He was brought up from the dust of the ground. He didn't come through flesh. Yes, the Holy Spirit created Adam, but it was a little different. Christ is the only begotten of his Father because his birth happened a little different. And he's from eternal past. He's eternally begotten, meaning eternally brought forth. That is why he's God.